Greetings! The Chinese Historical Society of Southern California welcomes you. We were organized in the Cathay Bank basement in Los Angeles, Chinatown on November 1st, 1975. And for over 30 years now, we have proudly and steadfastly endeavored to forward our mission, to bring together people with a mutual interest in the important history and historical role of Chinese and Chinese Americans in Southern California, to pursue, preserve, and communicate knowledge of this history, and promote the heritage of the Chinese and Chinese American community to foster a better appreciation of our rich, multicultural society. Our visitor center, staffed by society volunteers and docents, fascinating displays and exhibits are a regular source of information for students, scholars, and the general public. On any given weekend, join in on lively impromptu chat sessions that often result in new friendships and reunions. Our society makes networking really easy and delightful, especially if you subscribe to our principles of the 3 E's: educate, entertain, and of course, eat. Not many organizations like ours are also publishers. The Chinese Historical Society of Southern California released its first Gumsan journal in August 1977, and we are very proud that the acclaimed books and publications of our society are in libraries throughout the Southland and beyond. Our authors include professors, historians, journalists, and even a local plumber. We have collaborated with universities, scholars, and local historians to great success. Our book topics include individual oral histories, family histories, autobiographies, and a tribute to Chinese American veterans of World War II. Our latest bestseller, Portraits of Pride, a compilation of profiles focusing on Chinese American pioneers in the fields of science and medicine. Not only are we publishers, we're also preservationists. When the Society learned that the oldest surviving Chinese-built structure in Los Angeles was threatened with destruction, we simply bought it. A 19th century cemetery shrine in Boyle Heights. The Society reconstructed 3 crumbling structures using early photographs, and the shrine is today a designated Los Angeles Cultural Historical Landmark. When the Society discovered that a Riverside Chinatown archaeological site was threatened with destruction, we networked with local citizens and UC Riverside activists, convincing officials to spend $200,000 for research and an archaeological dig. The resulting preservation of the site brought new awareness of Chinese American contributions in the development of the Inland Empire. Our society is also a trusted recipient of historical materials from donors who recognize our commitment to archiving. We have one of the largest collections of Chinese American archaeological artifacts in the nation, from Old Chinatown, Santa Barbara, Grass Valley, and Donner Summit, to name just a few. Our archives also include individual collections from many Chinese Americans, representing a wide spectrum of experiences, lifestyles, and immigrant histories. Community outreach is another major function of our society, and we have 3 decades of fun to
More remains have been unearthed tonight at an MTA excavation site. They were found in Boyle Heights, just outside the Evergreen Cemetery, and they are shedding new light on a time many local Chinese residents will remember well.
Today, 30 years after our work began, the Society once again finds itself in the headlines. Once again, this organization is at the forefront of important community activism, working again to correct another injustice.
And Evergreen Cemetery behind me is one of LA's oldest and grandest. But 100 years ago, Chinese people were not allowed to be buried here. Instead, they were interred in a big field next door. Most of the Chinese workers who came to LA over 100 years ago were not allowed to own property or to send for their wives. They lived in ghetto shanty towns. And when they died, the Chinese workers couldn't be buried at Evergreen Cemetery on 1st Street in what is now East LA. That was limited to Americans. Instead, the Chinese workers were buried in what used to be an open field on 1st Street. But last year, the MTA Gold Line construction crews unearthed remains of over 100 Chinese skeletons. Also, Chinese artifacts like these were found in that field by the MTA, but never reported until 6 months later. That's a violation of the archive law and an insult, says the Chinese community.
All that time they already knew that it's Chinese bones, and all the grave marker have Chinese words on it, and mean they don't know anything about that, and don't communicate with the Chinese community so they can help them to identify those graves.
The MTA denies it held back information or violated a law that says a government construction project must stop if important historical material is unearthed.
And the driveway, which is in the beginnings, we find a lot of limbs, arms and legs. We called the archaeologists immediately, and we stopped working in this area.
Jose Ubaldo says MTA has now appointed a citizens committee that will decide what to do with the 108 Chinese skeletons found here.
They're going to make a decision on how to proceed to reinter the remains, how to honor and pay respect to these people who are Chinese.
Chinese workers considered second-class citizens, even though they helped build the railroad connecting California to the east. Notice no Chinese in this famous photo. Why couldn't a Chinese immigrant bring their wife here?
Because they probably don't want to spread the population.
Chinese community leaders say they want those remains to be reinterred here at Evergreen Cemetery, something not allowed over 100 years ago. Live in Boyle Heights, Doug Kriegel, Channel 4 News.
Now, on the threshold of our 4th decade, the Chinese Historical Society of Southern California continues to be an integral part of the creation and preservation of our history. We encourage your participation and support as we begin our next 30 years. Welcome. Join us.